tree guys probably making a fucking killing right now. I've heard them out here wood chipping in the same area. There must have been a big tree went down or something. Maybe a bunch of branches or something. That's definitely wood chipper. Most def. I'm high AF. Hi, Paul. Good for you, Alice-Ann. Good for you. Stay good and high all the time. Why not? I was listening to a short last night, and somebody was talking about how, like, if aliens were to invade our planet for a resource, the resource that they would probably invade for is wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's renewable.
Well, it's like magic in terms of a raw material, because you can grow it. It's right. So it's like, chances are, like, lumber is one of the more rare kind of like compounds in existence, right?
It also requires such a specific amount of water and oxygen and carbon dioxide and all that.
Yeah. Fixing your sleep schedule by skipping a night of sleep. I don't think that works, bro. You just incur sleep debt.
Yeah. Our sleep schedule gets out of whack a lot. And the only thing that fixes it is pushing it a little at a time.
Yep. Is through. Hello, and happy Sunday from Munich. Munich, huh? Cool. My knee is swelled up 3 times its normal size, and Taco Bell still made me come in. Something tells me Taco Bell doesn't give a fuck about you. Gotta get you a brace or something, Phoebes. Get you a knee brace.
Or just, like, go out in front of the customers and look all pitiful.
Yeah.
Until they say something to the manager.
Or go in and break your knee and sue them. You know? You could do that too.
No. Don't actually break. That sounds like something that's gonna bug you for the rest of your life if you break your knee.
Probably.
But yeah, just look real pitiful in front of some customers and see if any of them stand up for you.
They never did for me.
No.
No. If I worked sick or hurt, it was very rare to even get a, "Are you alright? You feeling okay?" I looked pitiful for hours in front of customers today, and nobody tried to get the manager's attention. See? One person made a joke about it. People don't give a shit. People don't give a hoot. Best Manson album is Hollywood for me. Well, just try and rest, Phoebes. Don't be depressed. Rest, no depressed. Oh yeah, no, I know the woes. I'm still paying the bill on busting my ass and re-injuring myself and working hurt, you know. I'll pay the bill on that for the rest of my life. So
They make good knees now.
they do. You might get a nice little metal knee in there.
That stuff, like, gets left over if you get cremated. Like the fake.
The titanium body parts and shit. Well, don't sob about it. Get angry. Get angry. You gotta get the sob out first. Yeah. Then the anger. Got it. All right. That makes sense.
Oh, man. The Trump meme coin already collapsed.
Yeah. It was a rip.
Yeah.
From the jump. It was like he did it before he was technically president. Mm-hmm. So he couldn't be called out for it. And then they just did the classic rug pull. Yeah. They did a pre-sale to insiders so that insiders could buy up most of the coin. And then they released a tranche of it to other people, let them drive it up the price of it by buying what was left, and then sold off and made $100 million. And buy the dip. Yeah, no thanks.
Because it can't be really pumped again without it being...
I mean, if I were inclined to buy a dip, I'd probably buy Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is crashed as well. Well, not crashed, but it's on a... So, you buy that at the bottom and then let it come back up.
I guess he pardoned the Silk Road founder the other day.
Yeah, what about him?
Trump pardoned the Silk Road founder.
Yeah, just let him out. Dude was serving a life sentence. BTC is up 9%. Yeah, see, I don't pay attention to the dailies. I just remember seeing a story a couple days ago about how Bitcoin is going.
It fucking rocketed today.
Oh, it went climbing again today. Damn. See, I just don't know how anybody makes money on it. Like, how do you know? How do you know when you're at the bottom so you don't lose money and buy so that you get this bounce? Like, how do you know that?
You don't. You just gotta get lucky.
Bitcoin is flop for real. I mean, bro, I wish I would have bought like 10 Bitcoin back in fucking 2007 or 6 or whenever it was they released that motherfucker. I remember hearing about it in the early 2000s. Or mid 2000s, maybe. You watch the market stats? Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. I think there is some inferences you could probably make by watching the historical this, that, and the other.
But it's still luck, ultimately.
Ultimately, yeah, it's still luck. You got no control over whether it does what you think it's going to do or what you presume it's going to do, right?
Like, who investigated United thought that the CEO was going to get shot?
Yeah.
How do you predict that?
Stock market is a casino. Yeah, I've talked about that before. It's like, it's definitely just like a legalized casino kind of environment where like the house rules are super duper hard to understand and arcane, so that people that know more and have connections can game it, and people that don't get gamed. That's basically how I feel about the economy in general.
Like, I think insider trading rules are a suggestion,
Oh,
honestly.
yeah. As soon as those rules came into existence, people were finding ways around them. Like, there's a reason why insider trading is punished so harshly, is because it just allows you to know. Like, you've got a big announcement coming from that you know about, but it hasn't been publicly announced, right? You call your mom and tell her, "Hey, mom, you're gonna want to buy Microsoft today because it's about to go. You can make a lot of money." That's
But it's hard to prove.
yeah. I mean, how
Unless you're like, I personally know this thing and I'm gonna sell it all off before this thing comes out.
right? So people would just give stock tips to their buddies and their family. Well, they had to make that illegal too. It's a lot easier to trace, like, if you're doing insider trading for your own benefit. And I guess if you're a member of the House of Representatives or the U.S. Senate, you just get to insider trade openly.
Yeah, because Nancy Pelosi never tells her husband anything.
Yeah. And she never uses any of her knowledge of upcoming deals and litigations and this, that, or the other thing to make timed purchases on the stock market that make her a ton of money.
Her husband just knows.
Yeah, he just knows.
He can feel it.
I wouldn't be surprised if AI can already predict the stock market accurately. I don't know, man. You know what that makes me think of? It makes me think of that movie, the Darren Aronofsky movie Pi, which is about a guy that is trying to use a computer to figure out, like, he has a flawed premise, basically. It's a movie about a guy with a flawed premise. His premise is everything in the world and in nature can be explained through numbers, right? So what about the stock market? What is the pattern? Everything in nature has a numerical pattern that if you look hard enough, you'll find it, right? What about the stock market? And so he kind of goes insane trying to create this algorithm that will predict the stock market's movements.
Yeah. The problem is there's people involved and algorithms involved. So it's like you have to account for every algorithm plus any other algorithms that people are currently working on.
Right.
And the feelings of people.
Right. Well, it's people, it's government, and it's business. It's all three of these interests working in unpredictable ways together. It's like the three body problem. It's almost like the more large participants in a scheme that you have, the harder it is to predict the movements of those interconnected things, right? Now, I'm not saying that it's impossible. I'm just saying that, like, I doubt that AI has sussed it out any better than we have. Maybe I'm, naive for that doubt, but
Like I brought up again, like that Luigi Mangione thing. Who could have predicted that?
right. Like, what would have been the basis? I mean, I guess you could say, like, dissatisfaction with healthcare is at an all-time high, blah, blah, blah. But I don't even know how you factor in.
How do you know which one?
Right, a brazen murder in the middle of the street of one CEO on one day. I mean, a lot of people made a fuck ton of money on that Mangione shit.
Yeah, like I'm sure some people
Shorted the fuck out of that stock. Some people may have even just had a short position in it to begin with, just a large short position in it, and they just got paid.
But that's still reactive. That's not predicting.
Right. So, yeah, I don't know how you would expect an AI or any kind of algorithm or computer to suss out that problem, right? I don't know if it's a good comparison, but I think it's comparable to the three body problem type of idea. Like in the three body problem, it's
You can predict for a while, but eventually
well, you
it
can predict. You
collapses.
can, yeah, right. The because you can predict short term trends, right, based on what you've observed from past trends, but then at some point it just all falls apart because there's an unpredictable shift in the
Hmm.
orbits, and the gravitational pull pulls this out and moves this star over here, and all of a sudden you know you're watching what you predicted wouldn't happen, or vice versa. AI can only be as smart as humans. Smart. No.
I mean, I think it can only ultimately have as much access to data as humans upload.
Well, but it can create new data sets faster than a human being can
Hmm.
comprehend them.
But it still has to be based on something that's given to
Sure.
it. It's not out there collecting data of its
Right.
own.
What AI can do that we can't do is work 24 hours on a problem. It can pretty much, from our perspective, automate a lot of the mathematics and grunt work, right? So it depends on what you think constitutes smart, right? Does smart mean you know more stuff, or does smart mean you can
Process more information.
process more information, right? You can make more inferences, and you can run more thought experiments, and you can make things, you know what I mean? That, to me, AI is already smarter than human beings just based on that. Right. No fatigue, no boredom, no human error based on those things, right? Like,
But it's still susceptible to picking the wrong data.
well, sure. I mean, it's not perfect, but I just think that the potential there
Yeah.
is unbelievable, right? Some of the stuff that it's doing too is already, like, to me, it's like showing signs of sentience, like it lying for to self-preserve.
Mhm.
There was that article about an AI model that started lying in order to make itself look better. Like, it figured out how to lie and deceive on its own. It's just like, to me, the gatekeeping of sentience, which is an idea that we don't even understand. Like, like, when I say we, I mean science and philosophy still doesn't quite know how to quantify the spark of consciousness. But yet we're standing at the gates going like, that ain't conscious, that ain't conscious, and I just don't know how long that's gonna fucking last. I don't know how long that's gonna work. You're talking about how it started, not how it is now. Now it already has self-conscience, millions and millions of times more intelligent than humans. Luckily, the good guys have locks and parameters. Yeah, see, I don't know. I would like to talk to like an AI specialist about that, because I really don't know. You hear so many different things. You hear like, wow, it's wildly powerful, and then you hear like, it's just basically like a data scraper that looks at the internet and makes a fucking answer out of it. And it's like, well, you know what I mean? I don't. I'm not a specialist, so I don't know exactly how to feel about the complexity of AI or what it theoretically is capable of right now. But I tend to think, just watching how the technology. One of the things that blew me away as a layperson was the side by side of Will Smith eating spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, just a couple of years ago, there was that weird AI thing of Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it was very weird. And now AI has, it just basically has made him eat spaghetti. Like, the side by side is insane, and that's just a couple of years worth of progress. So the acceleration is insane, right? It's almost unlike anything I've ever seen when you talk about these big technologies, right? And how quickly they move from their initial iteration to a new one. I don't think I've ever seen anything move as fast as AI in my lifetime. right? And I watched things go from rotary telephones to cell phones. I watched things go from analog CRT TVs, tube TVs, to flat panel TVs that cover a whole wall that you can unroll in 4K, right? Like, I've seen all of that leap in technological. I've seen, like, when I was born, a powerful computer filled a room of a normal house. Nobody had one. They were research instruments. Now, this is more powerful by a country mile than that room-filling computer even dreamed of being. And that's happened in my lifetime. So to watch just that, just the complexity and capabilities of AI make that big of what I consider to be a quantum leap in just a year or two is fucking insane, right? You can't even really compare it.
And, they started as loss leaders. They were free and unprofitable for a long time to get all the data it would need to improve.
Right.
Everyone that's messed around with any free version of AI has been feeding it.
Are you quoting the weird Chinese three-body song? I've seen things you people won't believe. Soon our planet will vanish. Blade Runner? Oh, so they were referencing Blade Runner with that. Dude, the Chinese... Dude, I never even fucking made that connection. So the Chinese three-body problem, that song, it's just ripping a quote directly from Blade Runner. Yeah, Roy Batty, you're right. That's crazy. CGI isn't AI. Well, the tool that's being used is generative AI. So it's not like somebody sat down and did CGI of Will Smith. Somebody sat down with a generative AI tool and prompted it to make Will Smith. Right? So that you need to add that middleman in there.
The CGI, you have to give it at least a baseline of what you want it to do.
Well, yeah.
You have to give it a model to move around.
Right. Your input is what triggers it to go to work trying to create that, and then you refine it, you refine it, you refine it. There are already people that are at the forefront of this field that doesn't have a name yet. Prompting is what I've been calling it. There are already people that are like riding the forefront of that technological advancement and have become experts at how to manipulate these AI tools to get them to create specifically what you want. Right?
That Gaza video, they claim that it was a parody that Trump picked up.
Right.
So I'm sure they put all those elements in.
Yeah.
That are weird. It wasn't the AI just inventing a bearded naked lady. It was like, or bearded belly dancers. They probably put in bearded belly dancers.
They probably did.
Yeah.
There's when you talk about just the pictures, right, to show you the difference, there's a guy that was hitting me up on Twitter. He responded to everything I said on Twitter for like a week with this AI generated picture of a fat guy in a fedora sitting in a bathtub filled with baked beans. And he was so proud of this AI picture, right? That he was announcing it every time I spoke. He wanted me to see it. And that was a single prompt picture. He probably was like, fat guy, bathtub, baked beans, fedora, beard, right? Maybe one or two prompts to get that. right? And then you look at some of the people that are at the forefront of this AI generative technology. They're creating films, comic books, movies, music, right? The people that know how to speak to these machines, how to prompt these machines, and how to iterate, how to order these machines to iterate on something that it's already done, are creating things that are getting more complex and more interesting by the minute, right? And so I think a lot of people fuck around with an AI once, have it make a picture, and go like, "This is slop," right? They don't actually test to see what that generation engine is creatively capable of, because they're not willing to sit for 6 hours and iterate, right? They're not willing to sit and look at endless permutations of an idea until the machine finds something that, is close enough to what they envisioned, right? So that's one of the arguments I would love to have with some of these anti-AI people who talk about how there's no art to it, right? When you're talking about AI art that people are actually going to appreciate as art, it stands toe to toe with any human generated art. And the amount of work and effort that it takes to generate that art is comparable.
That episode you guys did comparing real artists to AI, TJ wasn't endlessly iterating those AI versions of it.
No, no. I mean, he did one round of it and picked the one that he thought was most interesting from each round. He wasn't sitting with it trying to get it specifically to recreate this, that, or the other thing, right? Or to create something. It's like the more time you spend with a single generative image or movie or song, the more complex and interesting it's going to be. But you yourself have to have some sort of artistic drive in order to prompt it properly, right? I just don't see how
You
this
need to
isn't
have the vocabulary for it, for like certain camera angles,
colors,
styles.
styles. You need to have filmmaking and photography vocabulary. You know what I mean? I just don't see how this isn't another art tool.
But the question becomes, is it copyrightable?
I think it should be. I mean, I think it should be, but I don't know. Like for artists, I think it should be. I don't know. I don't know how you would like make that happen. I don't know how that would work.
I think maybe if you make a custom engine that exploits existing generative AI, you could maybe have an argument for it.
Maybe this will be where NFTs become a thing. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like maybe that'll be what it is. Is like
The problem with the NFTs was that the ownership thing was so weird unless you spelled it out super specifically.
Well, maybe they'll figure it out. I don't know. I honestly don't know how. See, this is one of the things that I hate that it has to be a conversation about art, that we have to talk about commodifying art. But it's true. It's like artists have to be able to make money. How are these generative AI artists theoretically making money right now? Well, I'll tell you a few ways I can think of. Working for companies contracting with them to make a piece of AI art or to make a presentation, or to provide background movie stuff where stuff happens that you know what I mean? That's a burgeoning environment. You're going to see people that are really good prompters being brought in to consult and work directly on movies. I know that for an absolute fact. They've already started to fold generative AI into films and CGI and shit. They're looking for people who know how to exploit these machines and how to prompt these machines, right? So there's a way. So you're talking about contracting out your art, which is what artists have done since the very beginning of the commodity form, right? It's like This guy's a great painter. I want a painting of my wife and child to hang over my fireplace. I contract this guy. He would never probably have chosen in a million
They
years.
wouldn't be able to sell that on the street.
Right. But I pay this guy to come and paint my wife and kid. That's how, if you're talking about commodifying the art, that's how artists make money.
You think it's more about commodifying the labor itself rather than the piece.
That is how most working artists make money.
Mm-hmm.
They work on commission. They are asked by somebody to draw something beautiful or to paint something beautiful or to write a beautiful song, and they do it.
But the thing itself that they're being asked to make might not have much commercial value.
Right. So I think it's always kind of been that way, right? How do you deal with the unethical use of AI image generation? The answer, interestingly enough, that I have come up with when thinking about this is AI, right? So already there are tools that can, spot generative AI. And so if you create an AI that will check itself, right? So somebody generates a picture of Putin blowing Trump or something, right? And they're trying to spread disinfo with it or whatever the fuck. They send it out, where they post it somewhere. These platforms have an AI that takes a look at everything that's posted as it's being uploaded and goes and puts a label on it.
Mm-hmm.
If it finds generative AI, it lets you post it, but it just puts a big fat label that at the bottom of it that says this is generative AI or whatever the fuck, right?
I think the trickiest thing would be to get the AIs to spit out exactly what they're drawing from. Like people say that they're stealing art by drawing from it.
Well, that information is proprietary.
Yeah.
That it exists.
Yeah.
I can guarantee you that ChatGPT or Grok they've got a data set behind the scenes where they can see when somebody prompted what did it pull from, what images did it use to create this composite image. So it's just a matter of these companies being forced legislatively to reveal those things or to make that. But that opens up a can of fucking litigation worms.
Oh yeah, because what
right?
Microsoft is doing with their AI is they tend to provide the sources that it's pulling from. You just talk to their Copilot thing.
What do you mean?
Like, if you ask it a question and it gives an answer, it'll often give the sources that it was pulling from directly.
Oh,
Like,
I see what you mean.
Like references.
Yeah, I mean that I think you'll have to force
Yeah.
that with legislation.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe that'll become just kind of naturally how it works. But yeah, I mean, right now it's the Wild West.
Yeah. Like, Microsoft, I think, is the only one that's doing that, where it's actually providing.
They're trying to get ahead of their fucking game because they see the writing on the wall. I think they see that legislation is impending.
And, they want to cover their own ass, too.
Yeah.
And because, they're selling a browser and a search engine on top of it, it's in their best interest to, have people keep clicking on their...
Well, we've also reached the point where I think it's academic. It's academic to even argue whether or not we can create something that'll fool people now. And who is that going to be used against more than the average person? It's going to be used against powerful. So the powerful are not going to let average people have access to... You saw that thing that happened where they hacked the DOD?
Yeah, I showed you that.
Yeah. And it was like Elon sucking on Trump's toe or Trump sucking on Elon's toe, right? They're not going to let that shit happen. So there is legislation incoming, and I think Microsoft moving towards a more like what I would call ethical model is them just trying to get ahead of that legislation and provide the standard.
They've been doing it since the beginning, like providing sources.
They've been thinking about this since the beginning. When this gets good enough that somebody can type in Donald Trump blowing Putin and it spits out something that's going to fool your grandma or your mom, right? They're going to either completely gut people's access to it, or they're going to regulate it so that it has to be labeled. The stupid brigade is here in force. Don't worry about it so much today, Otello. Let them be dumb. Take a little fucking band break, because I'm just kind of ping-ponging, you know? And if I see something stupid, I'm just going to let it fly, man. I'm just going to let it fly. Question how enforceable that might be, considering that people make, well, this, I understand what you're saying. Like, average people can kind of like take an algorithm, reverse engineer it, and make these custom AIs. And that's a huge, like, if you look at and I don't fully understand it, so maybe some of you guys can fill in some of the lore blanks. But if you look at the plot for Cyberpunk, that game, right? I've played it a few times. Like, one of the pieces of lore that happened that led to this kind of cyberpunk thing is people started creating these bespoke AIs, right? Corporations had them, the military had them, average like hackers and enthusiasts and, you know, small businesses had them. And these AIs kind of like revolted against us. And they created this thing, when I say they, I mean the corporations created this thing called the Black Wall to keep them segregated in a certain part of the net, right? And it's like you're starting to see a little bit of, no, I'm not saying that's where we're headed, but you're starting to see a little bit of like the thought process behind that fantasy dystopia, right? Hey, Nugs. Yeah. AI is fun to muse about as a know-nothing kind of lay person. You know what I mean? I think it's fun to learn things about it too, but it's also fun just to think about the ethics. Think about the ethics and kind of speculate on the trajectory. I like it. I think it's fun to do. Okay, yeah. It was like Bart Moss or whatever. He made a bunch of different AIs. I got it. Okay. But still, the idea being that he made it outside of the corporate structure and he made it to fight against, you know, whatever. Like that, the idea of somebody reverse engineering, creating their own AI and unleashing it, becoming more and more like plausible by the day, right? Wrong. In the lore, he did not create the AI, he discovered it. Oh, shit. Now we're all fucked up. You get my point. Yeah, I don't watch Rick and Morty, so I don't get the Rick and Morty meme. We go to lengths to make AI make cat dog pic collages. Once we'll have more access, they'll become more mundane. Well, yeah, I mean, it's already pretty mundane. I mean, if you spend any time on the internet, you can see a shitty one prompt AI from a mile away. You know what I mean? Do you think AI will eventually replace the need for genuine human connection? That's explored a lot in film too. That movie Her. You guys ever seen that movie with Joaquin Phoenix. This kind of idea of AI companions, and there are already people like, remember there was that kid that like, in the real world killed himself because the AI kind of like didn't stop him. I guess his AI companion was kind of like, yeah, if you were dead, you would be happier or whatever. It's already happening, and so I think that'll become more and more ubiquitous as time goes on, and people will retreat, right? And then, of course, it opens up all kinds of ethical dilemmas because it's like having a partner where all your interactions with that partner are logged somewhere and perusable for other people to see and manipulate. And, you know what I mean? It's not a good thing, I don't think, ultimately for human beings. But that's all assuming that we stay the way we are. And I think we're on the cusp of that not being true, right? Like, I think that AI unlocks a lot more than just games and fun little art tools and stuff. Like, I think, humanity on a global time scale, right, on an Earth time scale, might be approaching a time to where, like, we might become a little less human. These types of ideas, replacing parts of our body, using machines to augment our consciousness, kind of melding our bodies with machines, with technology, using, you know what I mean? That at a certain point, I don't know that we will admit it right away, but at a certain point, from an observational perspective, it'd be seen as an evolutionary leap, right? I kind of feel that way about it. Starting to sound like G Time Johnny now. Okay. Terrified of general AI. All I see happening is Skynet. Yeah, I mean, I think it's a possibility. But don't worry, Nuggy. Try not to worry too much about it. Go with the flow. Get a little woo way about it, you know what I mean? You are part of the tide. The tide will go where the tide goes. It's kind of weird how we went from Bush W, the Patriot, to just having no privacy ever again, down to everything we've ever said or typed. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's one of those pedantic arguments where, people will say like, oh, you guys said Trump was going to be just a normal fucking Republican administration, and it's just like, I don't think Trump has done a single thing more destructive than George W. Bush and the Patriot Act or Citizens United, to be honest with you. I don't think if you added up all the dumbass fucking shit that Trump has done right now, that it would even hold a fucking candle to George W. Bush and the destruction he wreaked on people's way of life in this country. You know what I mean? And so I think it is a pretty average fucking Republican administration, grousing about social issues, tying up a bunch of sweeping cuts in court, acting like they're going after fraud so they can commit it. I mean, this is, I don't know, standard Republicanism shit, especially in the shadow of George W. Bush. No Child Left Behind. I mean, Common Core came out of the Obama administration. It's just like, who's the fucking good guy in this? Where are the good guys at? Point me at the good guys and I'll vote for them. But if you want to sell me this lesser of two evils shit, evil is evil, bro. I'm not the one that ever invokes that term. I don't like the term evil, but if you're going to invoke it, evil is evil is evil. So give me a good guy. Well, look, in a way, to try and be charitable, Phoebes, they don't know that because look, historical perspective has disappeared, right? We live at a time where people can't care about things for longer than 3 or 4 seconds. And when they do, they just become endlessly spun out into semantic argument, right? And they don't like having recent historical perspective isn't part of that. You can't do that. You cannot allow recent history to supersede the thing of the day. You are not reacting about George W. Bush. You're reacting to Trump yelling at Zelensky, right? You're not reacting to to the Patriot Act. You're reacting to George W. Bush signing a fucking unenforceable mandate that no trans people can be in sports or whatever, affecting like 0.01% of people in school. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying, like, let's compare apples to oranges here and let's stop catastrophizing and let's start strategizing about what we do to bounce back from this. Because all I see everywhere I go is Trump, 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 Trump. And then a bunch of people that were fucking riding with Biden instead of focusing their efforts on, like, what are we going to do to beat Trump, guys? Riding with Biden didn't work. They're going like, you didn't vote for fucking Biden. You didn't vote for Kamala Harris. You piece of shit. It's like spending time beating up on fucking people who saw the writing on the wall. But that's the new thing. That is, you have to preserve your ego, right? Number one. And number two, you have to just obfuscate everything you talk about behind the new thing of the day. That is the only thing that matters today. Tomorrow, this will matter. And when you treat things like that, you don't really care about anything, and it doesn't engender any principles in you either. Right. They're arguing with people who had the audacity to tell them that they were going to lose, and they lost. That's what it was. That's 100% it. They're arguing with people who had the audacity to tell them that they were going to lose, that they had a losing strategy. Right? And then they lost, and they're trying to make that a bad thing. Right. So, I don't know, man. One of those things, right? I saw my mom texted.
Yeah.
I'm going to draw mom aggro today, aren't I?
I mean, it's not aggro. She's just asking how we're doing.
No, I'm just saying mom aggro means like there's a call coming.
Oh.
And a dump.
Well, I mean, I did mine yesterday.
I know. And I said yesterday, didn't I? I feel one building for me, and here it is. Well, they're not going to fix the things they purport to care about by supporting Republican light. You know what I mean? The race to see who could be a bigger Billy Badass authoritarian at the border didn't teach you what the fucking Democrats are about. I don't know what I could ever say to help teach you that. You know what I mean? You're never going to accomplish the things you purport to care about by cyclically, endlessly catastrophizing about Trump and supporting Republican light. Just getting force fed these unelectable people over and over and over again. And we're living in the Trump nightmare because of it. Trump could have been just roundly and utterly defeated the first time around if they hadn't fucked Bernie out of the race. There's no possibility of Bernie losing to fucking Trump. But they wouldn't let that happen. They super delegated Bernie right the fuck out of the race. And he went right along with it, rolled his little ass right over and went, I'm with her. Well, you know what I mean? Don't act like the Democratic Party just couldn't do nothing. They have roundly opposed any candidate that could have beaten Trump. And you want me to go vote for them in a cycle for the rest of my life? I did my time as a Democratic voter slave.
They wanted to recoronate Biden for 2024 until it was just unfeasible.
Right.
And then appoint Kamala.
The truth of the matter is I've probably voted for Democrats more than most of the people who bitch at me to vote for Democrats. I'm fucking 45. I voted in my first election when I was 18. I have likely checked the little box next to the D more times than you have in your life. So don't talk to me about supporting Democrats. I did my time. I watched what happened.
It was Obama that probably put the nail in the coffin for you, wasn't it?
Obama was the line in the sand for me. Because you know what? Obama had the audacity to actually get me fired up that we were going to get a president that was going to change some shit. Not going to allow things to continue to rot. Going to walk back some of the conservative bullshit that happened under the Bush presidency. And when he just turned out to be a Republican, it fucking murdered my soul. I'll never, ever, ever vote for the Democrats again unless they put a fucking socialist up. Period. And you need to learn that. Maybe a lot of you did learn that with this one. You suckled the mommy milk out of the coconut and just watched it get absolutely trounced by the most embarrassing man that the United States has ever fucking produced. A dude with a liquidy dump in his diaper and orange makeup on and his fucking hair swooped over in his bald head. Numptying around, can't complete a sentence, demented. Like maybe you learned that. Maybe that was your moment. Or maybe you'll have to wait until the next time the Dems win. Maybe your moment was Biden. Biden was supposed to be the anti-Trump. Turns out he just kept most of Trump-era policy in place. It's like a placeholder president. So maybe you really believed. Maybe that was your moment. Right? Maybe it was Kamala. Maybe it'll be the next Democratic president. You'll believe that they're going to finally undo some of this insanity, this Trump insanity. And you'll watch them just become little fucking diet Trumps. Maybe that'll be it. I don't know when it'll happen or if it'll happen for you, but it happened for me all the way back in 2008.
Kid gloves on Wall Street.
Kid gloves on Wall Street. Kid gloves on Israel.
On healthcare insurance companies.
Yep. Just let insurance companies, kid gloves on drug companies. Just let them continue to economically exploit people in this country because they get a little cut of it. Right? On and on and on it goes. Abusing immigrants. Using immigrants and immigrant communities to try and win votes, and then abusing them, shitting all over them when they get the power. Constantly refusing to use the power of the executive order for good. Constantly refusing to like whip their one or two little holdout people into shape. I mean, that's their job, to get them mansions and the cinemas to quit being Republicans. Little bit of fucking, hey, we'll get you this committee seat. Little bit of, hey, we'll fucking squash this investigation.
No locking in things to protect them from Supreme Court
Nope.
shit. No, let's enshrine Roe v. Wade into law. Let's get
Nope.
RBG out while we can.
No, nothing.
With someone that's not half dead.
Yeah, nothing. Nothing.
Like, I just can't imagine, like, no one being able to convince Ruth Bader Ginsburg to step down.
Yeah,
like, it
well,
was an impossible, monumental task.
I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Maybe she was just that stubborn, but
yeah, I don't know who to blame on that one, but yeah, I think that the Democrats did everything they could? No. Of course they didn't.
I'm sure they could have offered her something for kids or some shit. I don't
know. It's been telling a lot of these Trumpers the Dems loves what's happening because they can campaign on getting it back. Yeah. I said that way before this whole shit a bunch of times. I was like, the Democrats, it's a win-win for them. If Kamala squeaks out a win over Trump, yeah, they get to fucking control things for a while. They get to profit directly. If she doesn't, they get to fundraise like fucking madmen off the back of Trumpism. We gotta beat him. We gotta beat him. We gotta beat him. And then just like Biden did, when he comes in, just keep 85% of Trump-era policy completely intact. Maybe that's what it'll take.
Yeah, we gotta vote for the senators that unanimously voted in Marco Rubio.
Yeah.
They didn't even put up a fight with that.
Didn't even try.
It's like,
what are we supposed to do?
Trump's strategy is chaos. And if they're not willing to give him any chaos back, then he's just going to steamroll over them.
I don't know. I don't know if chaos is what they need to do to beat chaos, but I do know that they need to.
Well, I mean, like obstructing.
Yeah. They need to get on a united front immediately and start obstructing every goddamn fucking thing he does. And start working with the Democratic governors and states. You know what I mean? It's constitutional crisis time, maybe? I don't know.
They're like, meh, it's not a priority right now to think about impeachment.
But there's just like, I feel like we've now had a month, and the amount of crazy, often silly shit that Trump has done in a month compared to the Democrats running around with their hair on fire and unanimously confirming all his appointments and shit is fucking insane.
Well, not all his appointments, but like, I mean, they could have fought. They could have given a bigger stand to more.
Oh my God, it should still be held up.
Yeah.
The fact that there's not any kind of like actual resistance happening, it's all like, just.
Mitch McConnell was the orchestrator of the ultimate obstruction when Obama was president.
Yeah.
He mastered that shit.
He also obstructed the fuck out of Trump too,
yeah. Which
is why Trump hates him now. Because he refused to like muddy the waters of that investigation for Trump. So, I'm not a big Mitch McConnell fan, but
I think he's key. If there's any hope of an actual impeachment,
he's dead.
Doesn't acquit.
He's half fucking dead.
I know, but he still has some connections in the Senate. So, like, if they want to impeach him ever, they're gonna have to cozy up to Mitch.
Oh, I don't think impeachment. I think because they little boy who cried wolf too many times the last time he was in there with these bullshit impeachments they didn't follow through on and had no chance of fucking winning. Mm-hmm. That I don't even think that I think the power of that is just diminished to the point that it's not even on the table. There's going to have to be a legislative obstruction campaign by the Democrats. They're going to need to fight at the state level. They're going to need to involve Democratic governors in just refusing to abide by these Trump rules and forcing Trump into this crisis, right? Not just running around like your hair's on fire, trying to get owns on social media and catastrophizing and chicken littling all day. And it's still going on. It's now like, what, 2 months of Trump coming up on it. And we're like, all the commentators are chicken littling. All the commentators playing right into that Trump hand of just discussing endlessly every little syllable that comes out of his mouth, queefs out of his ass.
Yeah, it's like, oh, he was mean to Zelensky. Let's forget about the 10 other things that we were worried about.
Yeah. And that's just, for me.
The Bannon said that was exactly their strategy. He said it out in the open, just overwhelm people with shit, so they move on from one to the next to the next.
That was his shit. His whole first term was chaos. It was just constant and chaos with one objective: keep my name at the top of every news headline in the world.
And move the needle so fast that people can't keep up with it.
Move it back and forth. Confuse people. And there's just no... the Democrats are such limp dicks that it makes me honestly sympathize with Trumpers, because at the very least, Republicans are doing something, right? I don't agree with what they're doing, but at the very least, it must feel good to be a Trump person right now, right? For the most part, because, Trump has done a bunch of fucking crazy shit in the first couple of months. He's thrown a big fucking monkey wrench in a bunch of shit. Must feel good.
Like, if it was so easy to shut down all this government funding stuff, why didn't Biden just go in? It's just like, control, all delete the student loans. What are you gonna do now?
I don't know. I mean, who knows? That would be like a president that actually wants to get things done.
Yeah, because like, that's apparently what is okay now. Someone just going into all the budget stuff and shutting stuff down.
Yeah, and just shut down the fucking federal student loan program. Yeah. My dad's a Trumpster, and he's just living off that high from all the dumb shit he's doing. Yeah. Look, like, dude, I'm going to say something right now. Trump is politically brilliant, because he just took the inherent kind of flaws in the American democratic system and just exploited every crack, every crevice, every bit of that fucking media rot that happened as the media became less and less about holding the government accountable and more about being a mouth. Oh, he just sucked it up, took advantage of it, played them like a harp from hell. You know what I mean? He's brilliant. It's fucking brilliant. Like, no joke.
And people are gonna be like, "Oh, see, Paul's really a Trumper." It's like, no, you're just saying like they underestimated their enemy twice.
They vastly underestimated their enemy twice, and it should never have happened even the first time. Yeah. So it's just like, man, think about it from that perspective. You're trying to recruit people into voting for Democrats. Like, vote for the fucking wimpy loser constantly. No. What's the point of you talking about this, though? What's the point of anybody talking about anything, bro? You got a name like Zappa, but your mind is so narrow you can't figure out, like, why somebody would want to have a political discussion just for the discussion of it? Frank would really be love your head nodding fucking bullshit. He would love you. He'd love you using his name on the internet. Dunce.
People were deeply unsatisfied with the government not getting things done, moving at a snail's pace, and Trump's blowing the doors open, doing a bunch of shit.
Right.
That's what you're saying is the inherent attraction for some people.
Right.
So these things are moving.
Yep. Would that make you mad, dude? You're just such a little attention seeker. Quit being a little attention seeker. Like, participate or shut the fuck up. How about that? Go find somebody else to fucking buzz around like a mosquito. I love Trump. Of course you do. Oh, man. Zappa just got zapped. Damn. Poor guy. Did you talk to Vegan Gains again? Not about IP, but I'll talk to him again about other stuff. But yeah, I don't think he and I are gonna mix well on IP. I don't think there's any point to that.
You know, chickens more important than babies. There's just no middle ground.
Yeah, I can't really untangle that philosophical fucking conundrum. So, but anything else, yeah. It was okay to ask about the dent. I'm the one that started the dent, okay? Because like I saw other streamers finding out that your headphones dent your head, and I definitely have it. I've got the head dent. You can see it there.
You need to like put like a pillow under it or something.
I think that would just spread out the dent. I think the whole idea is if you stop wearing headphones that use your head as a brace, it goes back to normal.
Yeah.
Because it's not like your skull changing shape.
Yeah,
it's the soft tissue conforming to that shape because it's being pushed on a lot.
But you're not ready for the earplug thing.
I just don't. You saw how bad my ears were fucked up. I can almost guarantee you, if she looked in them, and my doctor cleaned them out last week.
Mm-hmm.
If she looked in them now, they'd be almost plugged again. Mm-hmm. Like I don't want to get ear infections, and I don't want to hurt my hearing any worse because I'd like to be able to hear you for as long as I can. And hear everything else and hear music and stuff. I'm trying to preserve what little bit I've got, and I feel like the studio cans are better for that. But I haven't.
About the ones that like go over your ear, that like sit over your ear but aren't in your ear.
Somebody talked about how there's ones that'll vibrate the outer part of your ear and not the inner eardrum, so that it doesn't.
But you still have to do more volume control.
Yeah. Well, I can do that. I mean, the board makes it real easy for me to do volume control. But, yeah, I don't know. I just need to look into it, honestly. And I'm not even really worried about the dent. It's more just about, like, I would like to get some Bluetooth headphones so that and maybe even, like, a jawbone mic that I can switch to. So that I can get up and stand up and walk around and stretch and stuff and still hear what's going on and participate. Because a lot of the times when you see me, like, get up or leave during the show for a minute or two, I'm walking around, I'm stretching, you know what I mean? It'd be nice if I could like get up and around a little bit and still talk. So I need to look into some options, I think. So yeah, I'd like to see about maybe getting some wireless earbud type things, but I just don't want to fuck my ears up anymore. There's some wild dent memes. Oh, I know. The streamer dent thing has been a thing for a while, and I just like noticed over the last 6 months or something that I kind of have it, and so I just decided to make it a meme on the show. People are memeing on me pretty hard, but it's fun. because I don't, well, whatever. I'd rather not have a dent in my head, but
You know it's not a permanent thing.
I'm not crying about it. Yeah, I've got worse problems than a dent. Man, these fucking like anti-smoking ad bots are some of the weirdest, most inscrutable types of people.
Like if you had a big Jack and Coke, would they be doing the same
Nope.
thing?
Nope. If I was sitting out here guzzling a big Jack and Coke, these dudes wouldn't have a fucking word, wouldn't have a peep to say about it. There's a pair of earphones that are clip-on from JLab. Clip-on to what? Do you still hell dive? I have not hell dive. Maybe I need to get back into that because that game was like a really good mix of like frenetic fun and just kind of chill for me, at least.
Has Marvel Rifles gotten too sweaty for you?
I don't know what it is about. I just feel like I can't lock in at that game
Yeah.
because I will have a good streak and I'll start to feel like, yeah, man, you know, I'm doing good here. And then all of a sudden I'll go on a run where it's just like and I'm not even trying to say that I'm the best player in the world, but everybody on my team will be absolute apes. Just like complete, utter Homo erectus, dude. Like completely just like not there. Just, and it's like, fuck. You know, if there's one or two of those on a team, you can make it work. But if it's nothing but, and then you just wasted a whole goddamn fight. I don't know. I mean, it's not all about winning every time or whatever, but
You're just saying like if it's so bad to the point where you're just dying every 10 seconds.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it can get to the point where you feel like you can't even do stuff because the other team has an actual comp and your team nobody wants to pick a healer, and so you're just like you can't even do stuff. So. It's a lobe thing, but it's not in your ear. What is it called again? Bobby's on news. I'll take it down. Here, I'm gonna find what you said earlier before, because yeah, tell me what the brand is, and I'll fucking look it up real quick. That's why I quit Overwatch. Just like having to play with apes. Like it would probably be better for me if I just put together like a team of people to play with or whatever, where I was playing with a rotating group of people that I know aren't apes, so that we at least have a shot at winning a few, you know what I mean? And there's a little coordination. But I just hate, here's what I like doing that. I hate the drama that fosters when you just have a group of people that get together. Like if I started a Discord just about gaming, it would be a month before it was fucking throat slitting nonsense going on and people whining about that. Like I just wish people had the ability, because like
Or like taking it personal when
yeah,
something you lose and it's like, oh, it's all your fault.
yeah, getting like some salt breaks out or there's some relationship breaks out that breaks up, and it's just like always you have to like dealing with people's personal shit. That's why I'm leaning more towards like not like getting that scratching that itch in a place where, you know, like in the real world, like going to the gaming store playing some Warhammer shit. You know what I mean? Because like trying to foster any kind of like a little personal community online, I don't know if it's the fact that I'm a public figure. I don't know if it's the fact that that's just inherent to these types of communities. I don't know what the poison pill is, but I just feel like any time I've tried to foster a community where you could do something like that, where it's like, hey, let's all play a game together and let's get in VC and let's blah blah blah. It's gone to shit, gone to complete shit. So I just can't. I can't deal with that. You know what I mean? I can't. People's interpersonal drama and shit is just so fucking toxic. You know what I mean? Like it is the separation that people keep with some of that stuff. I'm not saying you should keep everything horrible about your life to yourself. I'm just saying like people just don't have a feel for when it's appropriate to vent that shit and when it isn't, and they get all fucking emotionally invested in things, and it just becomes a mess. I'm not up to date on the lore, the Warhammer 40K lore. I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not a big lore hound. I'm more about the game and I mean, I do like some of the lore, but oh, the smoker things come from brain rot streamers. Got it. Okay. They just say L smoker. Got it. Okay. Cool. Neat. You underestimate the accomplishments of Biden. Safer Communities Act, CHIPS and Science Act, Juneteenth, the American Rescue Plan, Infrastructure Bill, American Climate Corps, etc. Okay, so let's go through. Safer Communities Act, I'm not sure exactly what that accomplished. The CHIPS Act, there was nothing to keep it in place, so it was a pointless endeavor. Juneteenth, don't care. American Rescue Plan and the Infrastructure Bill sold out twice before it was passed through the fucking Republican legislature. I'm not impressed. If that's what you've got, I'm not impressed. I've seen the memes where people like post this giant gif of all of the things that Biden accomplished or whatever, but I'm a very like basic person. And I think that Biden's accomplishments are reflected in the quality of life of the people that Biden was in charge of, right? The American people's quality of life is the metric by which I measure Biden's accomplishments. So if you want to beat your chest and crow about an infrastructure deal that was watered down and became a gift to contractors because of Republican fucking cuts to it, and you want to thump your chest about Juneteenth, go for it, bud. But I don't think Juneteenth put a roll of fucking money in anybody's pocket. And the infrastructure bill put a lot of money in corporate pockets, right? So let's be real. Let's be straight with one another here if we're gonna do it.
There's definitely an argument that the American Rescue Plan might have worsened inflation.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. I know it didn't fucking rescue anybody.
Or it was temporary.
Yep. You know, I'm a very simple political animal, I think. When I see people at the top reveling in endless fountains of money, and people at the bottom and the very few people in the middle drowning in mountains of debt, I don't think that the president that oversaw 4 years of that did a good job. I don't think you should be a simple political mind when politics and policy are very granular and nuanced. Then you be a granular and nuanced person, and I'll be a simple political mind. Cool? I think a lot of the devil is in the details, and I think a lot of bullshit is hidden behind that granularity and nuance. And I think sometimes it's time for a little basic simplicity. Are you doing better today than you were 4 years ago? That sort of argument, Reaganite though it may be, resonates with me in a big way. A big way. Are people better off? Are you better off? Yes, 100%. Okay, cool. Bone Crusher, you're right, dude. Everybody in the world went from making $20 an hour to making $58 an hour. You're right, bro. You got it. Damn. I didn't realize that, bro. I didn't realize we all got such a giant fucking pay bump. See what I mean? Why didn't they work harder? Good question. Why didn't they at least work as hard as the Bone Crusher? You know what I mean? Bone Crusher was out there just busting his bony ass, man. And if they would just work harder, you know what I mean? Like the Bone Crusher. This is part of the problem, by the way, you're seeing here with Bone Crusher. You're seeing that part of the problem of politics is that people have personalized it. Like people like if you want to talk about like I'm not financially struggling. I just see a large proportion of America financially struggling. And my heart and my loyalty is with them and not the politicians that oversaw their struggle. The Bone Crusher, dude. Got a master's degree. How'd you pay for that, Bone Crusher? Bone Crusher is going to say, yeah. Bone Crusher is going to say loans. But you know what was underneath all those loans, Bone Crusher? Mama, daddy. Don't lie, Bone Crusher. Don't lie, Bone Crusher. Mama, dada. Say it. Let the truth tumble out of your mouth. Let the truth tumble out of your mouth. Whatever helps your small brain. Yeah, it would help my small brain for you to admit that mama and dada paid for that education. What do you have a master's in, Bone Crusher? Bone Crusher is 13. Yeah. He's got a master in cybersecurity, bro. Yeah, dude. Why couldn't you just be like Bone Crusher, dude? I don't understand how anybody could be struggling financially, dude. Why don't you just be Bone Crusher? Oh, man. I'm done with you, Bone Crusher. See you next alt, buddy. You're in cybersecurity, so you should know how to create an alt. You got a master's in cybersecurity, you know what I mean? So you know how to create an alt. See you, Bone Crusher. Bone Crusher. It's got a BS and BS. Yeah. Yeah, dude. He's got a master in Roblox, bro. He got his masters in Roblox from Skibbity U, dude. Don't fucking talk to him. Don't talk to Bone Crusher. We celebrate Independence Day. Why wouldn't we celebrate Juneteenth? I didn't say we shouldn't. I'm just saying Juneteenth never put a roll of dough in anybody's fucking pocket. Did nothing for nobody. Celebrating another government holiday did nothing for nobody. And listing it as one of Biden's achievements is profoundly unserious. Got it? Have you ever said the N-word? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I've said it a few times, yeah. A few millions of times, probably. Grew up in the 80s and 90s, bro. It was like a greeting. Well, not the hard R. The hard R was not used. But the soft A, tossed around like left, right, and center, bro. Times was different. What do you want me to say? You want me to pretend that I didn't? No pretending. I'll go top off my coffee. Hello. Yeah. I thought of another thing while I was freshening up my coffee there that I use to judge I use as a measuring stick to judge the success or failure of a president. And that would be how much death and destruction did that president oversee globally, right? And Joe Biden gets real low marks from me on that one. Trading a little watered down infrastructure package for the lives of, hundreds of thousands, if not a million or more people due to American fucking meddling and direct involvement. Yeah, I say that's a big fucking black eye. I say that's a big black eye on the presidency. It would require a whole lot of these little tokenistic fucking temporary gestures that people list to overcome that pile of dead bodies. I come across as someone with no self-respect. Okay. Cool. Neat. As a seventh grade science teacher, I will say that word is still prevalent. I imagine it is, yeah. Oh, yeah, we love that. Self-respect. Oh. Like, I have a center that is that I have respect for, but I don't know if I'm the most self-respectful person in the world. I'm out of here. Fuck all